A broken marriage was supposed to be the end of her story, but it became the moment she was finally reborn. They thought she would leave quietly. A discarded duchess, humiliated, forgotten, erased from high society. Instead, she took everything. Not just her freedom, but power, wealth, control. And the moment the ink dried on that divorce, something inside her changed. The woman who once cried alone at night disappeared, and in her place stood someone cold, calculating, and unstoppable. She didn't beg. She didn't break. She demanded her share, and took far more than anyone expected. But money wasn't the real twist. Because behind her calm smile, she knew things no one else did. And while they underestimated her, she was already planning something far bigger. A quiet revenge. Not through anger, but through dominance. She begins building from nothing, turning overlooked craftsmen into loyal allies, outsmarting merchants, predicting markets, and reshaping an entire industry that once ignored her. Every move is precise, every decision deliberate, and while her ex-husband celebrates his freedom, he has no idea that the woman he discarded is about to rise higher than anyone in the empire. But power attracts attention. A mysterious duke takes interest. A prince steps into her path. Enemies begin to close in, and just when it seems she has everything under control, they try to crush her. Only to discover, too late, she is no longer someone who can be broken. This is not a story about love lost. It's about a woman who turned betrayal into power and is only just getting started. And it all begins the moment he asks for that divorce. The girl cries and says that she knows. In her thoughts, she always knew. She wonders if Duke Feharan has a conscience. He has been unfaithful since his marriage. He made out in casinos and clubs while she cried at night, having fallen out of love. Now he is asking for a divorce by consent, and she is turning to darling. If he wants freedom, let him prepare compensation. The submissive Alice de Feharan dies for him. He is glad, without a headache. He thinks he'll pay a little, and everything will be over. The Duke asks for the amount, and the lady reminds him of her contribution. She is entitled to a third of the property. He is in shock, but she will not allow herself to be humiliated any longer. And he gets ready to live his life. Soon he looks out the window. There were happy moments here, but it's time to go. There is a knock at the door. She allows entry. Enter the maid Neri, the one who came with her after the wedding. Neri is the only one she trusted. She has important news. 4 years were hell. No one supported me, except Neri. The maid heard about the divorce. The lady confirms the signature has been received. When asked about leaving, she answers, yes, she will have to. Neri will go with her. Alice doesn't want to force it. It's Neri's choice. But she vows to follow her. There is no one more important. Alice thanks and offers to live together, and asks not to call her mistress anymore. She is now Miss Alice de Harpen, not de Feharan. Later, a man from the Duke arrives. He helps divide the property. The lady clarifies, is there a third? He confirms. She asks to explain the calculation. He talks about 30% of the family deposit. She clarifies, cash only? A third of the deposit is not enough. The Duke is cunning, but she cannot be fooled. She demanded a third of everything, and he agreed. Aren't estates, jewels, gold and grain property? The lawyer hesitates about the assessment. The lady interrupts. She has the reports. Every year, she received a full valuation of her assets. The requirement is clear. 30% of the total cost of everything. The man is horrified. The amount is huge, and he can live on the current offer. The lady is cold. It is not for him to decide how to spend her money, or add more mines and state lands. This is already too much. It's better to close the question. He hurries to the Duke. She approves. In the evening, with a glass, she thinks about how they puzzle over it. They don't know about her past life, whose memories she acquired. Soon, she wakes up. It's payday. At the bank, they give her the entire amount. She thinks with a smile how he cried. This is his retribution. She leaves the bank. Neri asks about plans. The answer is simple: to spend. At the agency, she declares, she wants to buy a house. When asked about the budget, he asks to show everything. She is offered expensive options. She asks to look, not count. She is sure that anyone will buy it. The worker offers one of the houses, points to him and offers to connect him with the owner. The house is beautiful, but far from the carriage station. As the economy grows, transport will grow. This is important. She's asked about public transport. It's a matter of location. Nowadays, it is used by traders and doctors. The peasants will be leaving soon. There's also a 10 billion deposit. Is there a debt? This means that the mansion is overvalued. They wanted to deceive her. She scrolls further and chooses an old house. It's not cheap, but the closer you get to the station, the price will go up. Asks to inform the owner and wait for a response. You need to buy with a view to the future. An undervalued house is a stroke of luck. Neri is surprised by her courage. Alice replies, nothing special. In her past life, she was an accountant and knows calculations. Looking at the noble women, she remembers. Even as the Duke's wife, she did not own property. She lived modestly, but now everything is different. She calls Neri. Suggests going shopping. It's time to get used to something new. Let him follow her. Neri is surprised by the abruptness of the decisions. Alice asks to forget her former image. It no longer exists. At the boutique, she is greeted like a duchess. The woman recognizes the wife of Duke Feiharan. Before you had to be careful, now it doesn't matter. She came for a dress. They ask about the design. Asks to show all the new products of the year. Trying one on, he asks Neri's opinion. Neri says everything is beautiful. Then she takes everything. The hostess is delighted. They take measurements and praise her slimness. She comes out in a new outfit. Neri is delighted. Alice orders 10 outfits from Neri. And reminds, no longer a duchess. The divorce is signed. There is no ring. She is Alice de Harpen. The bill is 40 million. They are offering to send it to the estate. She pays by check on the spot. As he leaves, he hears gratitude and an invitation to return. A few days later, the agency reports. The owner agrees to sell. She signs the contract and starts a new life with Neri. Later, he returns to the Duke's estate and wonders why he called. He behaves disgustingly to the end. She notices someone else. The woman mockingly asks if she was expecting a meeting. This is Christy Leighton, the mistress of 2 years and the reason for the divorce. She acts like a boss. Alice ignores her. Christy reminds her of the divorce and asks if she considers herself a wife. Alice clarifies who she is talking about. Christy quips, "Does the exile dare to remain silent?" Alice confirms the divorce and smiles. Now Christy has to live with this scum. Let him stay out of it. Christy screams indignantly. How dare she speak like that about the Duke? But the lady just bursts out laughing and asks with a slight mockery whether her interlocutor really thinks so. Would a man who cheated on his wife ever be faithful to her alone? The red-haired lady coldly declares that Alice's life is already ruined, so she's decided to shower her with barbs as a parting shot. The main character calmly replies that these are not insults at all, but warnings, although now it no longer concerns her. She wishes the Duchess happiness and leaves. And at that moment, the lady realizes she is leaving the estate without the slightest regret. After some time, the maid turns around in front of the mirror and excitedly asks the miss how she likes this dress. The main character smiles and replies that she's beautiful. The maid shyly admits that she loves the outfit so much and never even dreamed of ever wearing something like it. Alice invites her to try on other dresses, and the girl happily agrees. Soon they, along with the boutique owner, unanimously say that it is perfect, and the lady again looks flawless from head to toe. Alice thanks them and adds with slight confidence that all this is thanks to her outstanding abilities. But suddenly, the lady feels that the image is still incomplete and turns to Madame. She asks if she can recommend a good jewelry store nearby. A little while later, the girl crosses the threshold of the jewelry store, where one of the workers politely greets her. Alice asks to see the jewelry, and he agrees. The maid quietly asks Miss how much she plans to buy. The lady calmly replies that she will take whatever she likes and asks to show absolutely all the jewelry. After a while, she is already sitting in front of a lot of boxes, and the man carefully asks if she's really going to buy all this. The main character confidently answers that yes, and asks to show other jewelry. Suddenly, her gaze catches on another piece of jewelry, and she declares that she wants this one. The shop owner points to a piece of jewelry nearby and asks if that's what she's talking about, but the girl calmly replies that she means the one next to it. And at that very moment, someone else picks up this decoration and declares that he is taking it. Alice asks him to wait, confused as to what's going on. Then she apologizes and says she chose this decoration first. The man objects that he is not sure about this, and it seems to him as if he made the choice first. The main character replies that the hostess simply misunderstood her, but the interlocutor declares that it was the girl's own mistake, since she explained it poorly. Alice realizes that he is shifting the blame onto the woman, and at that moment decides that the jewelry will still belong to her. One of the workers intervenes and says that it looks like the gentleman really did make his choice first, so they will have to give in to him. The man smugly asks if they can see it, since even the owner confirmed it. The girl realizes he's probably a regular, and she can't argue with the owner's words. The worker asks whether it's the gentleman who's taking the jewelry. Then the main character calmly agrees and says that so be it. Let them give her only what she chose earlier. The worker hands her the purchases, and as she leaves the boutique, the lady looks at the fair-haired guy again. Seeing his smug grin, she thinks how impudent he is and sincerely hopes that their paths never cross again. After some time, a cry is heard about how she dares to burst in here and how shameless she is. The man says he doesn't want people like her in his family. The lady coldly replies that she has no intention of living there. Her father once said that she had already left this house, so how could she dare return again? But after the divorce, it would be impolite not to visit your parents. The man slams his palm on the table and shouts that she is a disgrace to the family and that she dares to talk about it. The lady calmly asks her father not to worry about her because she will take care of herself and asks him to promise only one thing. Someone watches this with obvious displeasure, and the main character shakes her head, realizing that Rufin does not need to take her side at all. They were never close, and it was better for him to pretend he didn't know anything. The girl asks him to promise not to seek meetings with her, no matter what happens in her life. But suddenly, the man slaps her and shouts at her to get out and never dare to appear before his eyes again. The main character looks at him in shock and realizes that she had only one reason to come to her parents' house. If they had known about the monetary compensation, they would certainly have changed their attitude, and the lady understood this perfectly well. She gets up, thanks her father, and in her thoughts thanks him for finally breaking their connection. When she goes outside, the maid happily runs up to the miss, but notices a bruise on her face. The girl worriedly asks what happened to her cheek and if everything is okay. The protagonist replies that everything is fine, and now she no longer has a family. Neri turns to Miss with tears in her eyes and hugs her tightly. Alice softly says that at least she has Neri, and the maid assures her that she will serve Miss even better. The main character nods and suggests that they quickly go to their new home to start settling in. Alice understands that these are just small things, because if she breaks down now, she won't be able to withstand the trials that lie ahead. After some time, the girl is already in the new house, and the maid asks for her mistress again. How does she like this dress? The main character replies that Neri is beautiful and knows how to choose clothes. If she needs anything else, let her say so, and they'll go shopping right away. The maid admits that when the lady talks like that, it all seems unreal to her. She's enjoying this so much, it's as if it were a dream. The protagonist lies down on the bed and admits that she feels it too, and even wonders why she lived differently before. The girl asks if she needs to buy anything else, and suddenly remembers about the jewelry. Alice says that the necklace was incredibly beautiful, and the maid carefully clarifies, "Is this the same necklace we are talking about, and is there another one just like it?" The main character stands up abruptly and says with enthusiasm that it can be ordered from a master. Sometime later, the lady is back in town and remembers that after she paid the jewelry store owner 30 million denites, he told her about the craftsman who created that necklace. As she approaches the place, she wonders if this really is the alley with the workshops. A little later, they knock on one of the doors, and when it opens, the girl wonders if the master really lives in such a place. Then she apologizes and asks if Mr. Harley Penson is around. The man replies that there is no such person here, and soon they are going around other houses in search of the right person. Approaching the last workshop, the lady mentally asks that it be him. The man asks who she is, and the lady asks if Harley Penson is here. He asks why she needs this man, and after a while, they're already sitting at the table. Alice notices that he looks wary, because strangers who know his name have come to see him. The girl explains that she wants to place an order because she saw the necklace he made, and that's why she came. The man asks if this is a personal order, and the lady replies that it can be said that way. He admits that he has never taken personal orders before, and asks what kind of product she wants. The girl says that she wants that very necklace, asks for the chain to be made thin out of silver, and for a large diamond to be inserted into the center. She'll find the stone herself. The man asks about the time frame, but the lady replies, there's no time frame. What matters to her is not speed, but how skillfully the necklace is made. The man agrees to do everything as she asks. Alice asks what his fee usually is. He replies that the average price is 200,000 denites, and he manages to create about 10 items per month. The girl is surprised. Is it really only 200,000? She understands that it takes at least 3 days to make one necklace or ring. If there are always orders, that means it only comes out to 2 million per month, which is too little for such work. Alice asks why he doesn't take more. The man replies that if he does, there might be no orders at all, and he risks falling into an eternal sleep from hunger. After all, there are many other craftsmen around who are ready to work for the same price. He cooperates with several companies, but they don't pay more anywhere, and if he raises the price, there will simply be no orders. The main character understands how absurd this is, because the jewelry is sold at tens of times the price. Jewelry stores are simply exploiting craftsmen, creating cartels for their own profit. The girl indignantly thinks how cruel they are and declares that she will pay him 5 times more. The man is stunned, and the lady adds that in return he will create more than just this necklace. She wants him to fulfill all her orders from now on. The man asks why, and the lady confidently shakes his hand. She says that this is the true value of his work. After a while, the lady is already sitting in her office. The girl speculates that there must be a way to break this system. In jewelry, the material is important, but it is the masters who decide everything, because the unprocessed stone itself is worth nothing. If they raise wages and hire all the jewelers, other firms will lose the opportunity to exploit them. The girl understands that she is capable of creating her own monopoly, and why not take a risk since she has enough capital? She's tired of just spending money, and now she wants to do something truly meaningful. Not what is being forced upon her, but what she really likes. And with this thought, the lady is about to leave. The maid asks where the miss is going, and the lady replies that she is going to do interesting things. The maid remembers about breakfast, but she is already leaving. After some time, the girl again finds herself in the jeweler's quarter. When the man opens the door and asks who is there, the main character greets him. He asks if she has found the stone, but the lady replies that that is not the point at all. She needs his help and wants to meet with the capital's jewelers. A week later, the lady gathers them all in one room and thanks them for coming. The girl says that Mr. Pinson has already informed them of her desire to meet in person. The jewelers look at her with puzzlement, and she offers to work with her and receive 3 million denites for 3 orders a month. In addition, she promises to pay 5 times the standard price for additional orders. One of the jewelers asks if he can trust her. The other shrugs and suggests hearing her out first. The girl calmly explains that the fee will depend on their skill and results, and that it can be increased if necessary. Another man doubts whether the lady can handle such a scale, but she confidently replies that she can. Moreover, she promises to pay for repairs to the workshops if necessary, and to purchase new tools. The jewelers thank her, and one of them admits that they have never been treated with such dignity. They promise to work hard and ask for her trust. The girl replies that she's simply treating them the way they deserve. After that, she offers to sign a 3-year contract. Sometime later, there's a knock on a gentleman's door. The man allows entry, and the servant informs his lordship that a letter has arrived. He asks if it is from relatives, but the servant replies that the sender is a stranger. The man nods. It's Duke Rumiester. He wonders if it's an investor. It would be nice if the letter was from an influential person. Seeing the signature, he realizes it's Alice de Harpen, the Duke's wife. The servant reminds him that she is no longer his wife, and the man agrees, recalling the divorce. He opens the letter expecting something serious, but upon reading it, he realizes that it is a business proposal. The servant wonders if this is true, and the Duke confirms. Alice is asking for a supply of stones, and the price for a 3-year contract is not small at all. It's not clothes or perfume, so he's curious about how she plans to get into the jewelry business. He decides it's worth meeting. After a while, the girl cries out joyfully that everything worked out. The maid immediately asks what happened. Alice first wipes the crumbs from her lips and gently remarks that it is better to speak with a clean mouth. Neri replies that she is a lady, and Alice reports that she received a reply from Duke Rumister. He owns the largest mine in the empire and has agreed to a meeting. Neri is delighted, as the lady has been pondering the letter for so long. The maid asks if she will go right now, but the girl explains that the meeting is in 3 days. Neri asks about the meeting place, and Alice says that she will go to his estate, since it was her initiative. Now that the answer has been received, I need to go somewhere after lunch. The maid is surprised, since the meeting is still a long way off. The main character replies that she is going to study the market, and Neri does not understand what this means. After some time, Alice comes into the shop and asks to see the watch. She understands that she must behave naturally, like an ordinary customer. The girl notices that there are most of them necklaces, followed by rings. Alice remarks that watches have become very beautiful lately and are probably selling well. The saleswoman replies that they're not as popular as necklaces and rings. Watches are considered a secondary item. The girl asks if this means necklaces are the most popular. The saleswoman confirms that older generations of aristocrats choose them. Alice realizes this is valuable information. At that moment, someone greets Madame joyfully. The woman asks about new items, and the saleswoman confidently replies that they do. Since Madame came in person, the finest jewelry was prepared for her. The girl notes that aristocrats over 40 actually come here. Then Alice asks to see the product that she was looking at earlier. Walking down the street, she reflects that jewelry is most often bought by aristocrats between 40 and 50 years old. They prefer diamonds, sapphires, and rubies. The most popular items are necklaces, followed by rings, bracelets, and watches. The girl understands that it would be worthwhile to open a private shop, since current stores depend on intermediaries for metal processing, which is why prices are rising. It is necessary to reduce intermediary costs and increase your own profits. After a while, the maid comes into the office and asks what the miss is writing so intently. The girl replies that she conducted market research and is now drawing up a business plan based on her observations. Neri says admiringly that the more he looks at the lady, the more he admires her. At this time, a man approaches a lady and hands her a box. He says it's for her. The girl turns to her brother and asks what's inside. The man replies that it's a birthday present. When she opens the box, the girl cries out in delight that the necklace is incredibly beautiful, and she has never seen anything like it. She says he had to try, and the man proudly confirms it. He even managed to argue. His sister wonders with whom, and his brother replies that some girl claimed to have chosen the jewelry first. but he insists that his charm solved everything, and the necklace was his. The sister asks doubtfully about the charm, realizing that her brother is embellishing again. The man declares that there is no girl who could resist his gaze. The blonde thinks he is a caring and handsome brother, but his overconfidence is sometimes frightening. She asks him directly if he took the necklace by force, but he indignantly denies it and says that the lady was stubborn. The sister laughs and remarks that her brother must have had a hard time and asks who that girl was. The guy remembers her look and the way she left and says that she looked like a squirrel. In his thoughts, he adds that she was a little cute, and his sister asks in surprise about the squirrel. He brushes it off and changes the subject, asking if everything has been well with her lately. The girl replies that everything is fine and understands that the stranger was obviously beautiful since her brother has such a face. The blonde adds that while he was gone, something important happened in the empire. She shows the news and announces the divorce of the Feiheran couple. The man is surprised, as this is rare in a duchy with such a history. Then he puts the newspaper down and says that it is more important for him to hear his sister's story. After a while, they ask if the lady has arrived, and the main character gets out of the carriage. She goes to the Duke's office and a servant announces her visit. The man greets Miss Harpen and says that they haven't seen each other for a long time and that he also received her letter. The girl replies that she is glad to meet again and notes that he calls her Miss Harpen out of politeness. He reminds her that he himself proposed the meeting in a letter, and she thanks him for the invitation. The lady says she has prepared a business plan, and the man is surprised by her seriousness. The girl explains that it is better to show everything clearly once than to spend a long time explaining the details. He looks through the documents and notes that everything is presented clearly and distinctly. The main character mentally thanks her past experience as an accountant, where she had to prepare reports. The Duke asks if she's taken into account the craftsmen and recruited enough workers. She confidently replies that she has. She suggests paying attention to the work schedule of the craftsmen, the average production time, and the hourly rate. The man says this is impressive for a first-time entrepreneur. The woman thanks him for the praise. She then submits the terms of the contract, specifying the types of stones, volumes, and delivery times. The Duke reads carefully and asks when she plans to start. The girl replies that after the department's permission, she will hire people immediately, and the preparation will take several weeks. She clarifies whether there are any problems with the contract. Elsewhere, someone praises Christy, saying how great she is. The woman replies that she did almost nothing. She remembers being a mistress for 2 years, and it irritated her. They once said that she was an illegitimate daughter, beautiful like her mother. She was predicted to become the mistress of a second-class aristocrat. The girl tearfully dreamed of a better life. She wanted to raise her head proudly and live like married ladies. 2 years ago, fate brought her together with Duke Feiheran. He offered to live with him for the rest of his life, despite the fact that he was married. Now she will become a legal wife and get everything she dreamed of. The woman says her time has come. At the ball, in honor of the emperor's daughter's birthday, she will appear as a legal bride. The woman confirms that she is now a bride. Meanwhile, the protagonist continues her conversation with the Duke. He says there are no serious problems with the contract, and the proposed price suits him. Moreover, he became interested, but he was concerned about the volume of supplies. The lady is just starting out, and the requested volume of stones is very large. The main character is confident because she studied the production volumes in his minds in advance. The Duke explains that in order to make such deliveries, he will have to give up other clients, and this is a risk. The girl replies that she will offer more favorable conditions, unless he is held back by moral duty. He says it's not a matter of morality, there are simply no guarantees of long-term cooperation. Therefore, he cannot help but worry, and the girl assures him that there is nothing to worry about. She reminds us that she conducted a market analysis, calculated delivery costs, recruited staff, and asks us to believe the facts in her report, not just her words. The man asks if he can trust her, and the lady confidently replies that he can. She promises he won't regret it. The Duke smiles and says the lady is very funny. He hasn't met such confident people for a long time and accepts all of Miss Harpen's conditions. The girl asks if he will accept them without changes, surprised by the lack of bargaining. He replies that he decided to trust her confidence because he is a good judge of character. Alice thanks him for his trust, and the Duke says that he should thank her. They shake hands and proceed to sign the contract. After a while, someone notices that the Duke looks unusually pleased. The man admits that he hasn't experienced such emotions for a long time and feels that they will make excellent partners. He saw a special power in her eyes, and not only that. The butler cautiously asks what else he noticed. The Duke replies that he would like to become her close friend. The butler insinuates that he has taken a liking to the girl. The Duke immediately becomes indignant and says that this is about business and human communication, nothing more. The butler nods, and the gentleman adds that he will now meet with her often. He asks her not to think too much, and he agrees. At this point, the main character is already at her estate. While slicing the roll, she hears from the maid that this is the very dessert from the famous bakery on Piffin Street. The girl confirms and adds that she has already signed a lease for a store on this street. The maid is surprised because jewelry stores are usually located in a different area. Alice explains that there are too many regular customers and strong competition, and now sales volume is not more important to her. The most important thing is that the store is remembered by customers. Aristocrats often visit restaurants and cafes, especially ladies over 40. They are the main clients of jewelry stores, and after dinner, they are usually relaxed. This means that there is a high probability that after the restaurant they will go shopping. The maid admiringly declares the plan perfect. Alice replies that she'll try, and if it doesn't work out, they can always move, since they have the means. Neri asks what the store will be called, and the main character thinks of a special name. She remembers her past life in the duchy, and the tears she shed there. She remembers how she left him, bought a new house, and began spending warm days with Neri. And she decides to name the store La Vie est Belle. When asked about its meaning, she replies that it means, life is beautiful. After finishing the meal, the maid offers fruit, and the lady thanks her. The girl understands that she needs to think through the brand and estimate the remaining expenses. Neri reports that the goods will require approximately 10 million denites. The lighting, signage, and interior will cost around 2 million, and the glass turned out to be more expensive than expected. The main character strokes Neri's head and thanks her for her help, admitting that she feels more confident with her. The maid sheepishly replies that it is the Mrs. Merritt, and she is only carrying out orders. The lady looks at her hands and realizes that she can't put everything on Neri. She throws on her cloak, and the maid asks where she is going again. The girl jokes about the lack of a social package and says that she will be back soon. She leaves, and Neri thinks that Miss doesn't look tired at all after all the work. Walking down the street, Alice realizes that there is no internet here, so she has to get all the information herself. After a while, she asks for a fresh newspaper, and the seller is surprised by her desire to read the news. He hands over the newspaper, the girl thanks him, and soon is sitting at the table with her. The article says that ordinary workers earn about 1 million, or a little more, and there is a lot of work involved. The girl reflects that if they pay decently for a smaller amount of work, there will be plenty of people willing to do it. Neri gives her a shoulder massage and asks if she's feeling unwell. The main character replies that she is a little tired physically, but inside she feels an incredible surge of life. She hadn't known freedom for so long, and now, thanks to the divorce, her life has become truly vibrant. She jokes that she should be grateful to her ex-husband, and Neri is indignant, considering such a joke inappropriate. The lady understands that she has received large compensation and freedom, but years of humiliation are not so easily erased from memory, and the pain still resonates inside. She realizes the time has come for revenge. After some time, she suggests that Neri take charge of the candidate selection. She asks to write down the names of those interviewed and brief impressions of each. Neri agrees and promises to record everything carefully. The first candidate enters the office and the girl greets him, asking if he has come for an interview. After the conversation, the lady says that she will contact him after checking. Then other candidates arrive, and she politely says goodbye to each one. He thanks you for your visit and promises to report the results within a week. When the 10th candidate comes forward, Neri notices that there are unexpectedly many applicants. The main character thanks her and admits that without Neri's help, it would have been much more difficult. Another young man enters the office and asks if the interview for the La Vie est Belle store is taking place here. The girl confirms and invites him to sit down. She notices that his clothes are a little worn, although he resembles a young nobleman, and for work it is important to make a good impression. The girl asks his name, and after an unclear answer, she clarifies whether his name is Aji. The young man confirms, and they conduct an interview. In the end, the lady thanks him. She says she will report the result next week, but the guy asks to answer right away. He explains that he needs the job urgently, is ready to start even tomorrow, and will be very grateful if he is chosen. The girl understands how desperately he needs this opportunity. Neri asks if there is a special reason, and the guy honestly answers that he needs money. Alice says that she understands him, but asks him to go home and wait a little. The young man stands up and adds that he is more suited to the role of a security guard than a salesman. He declares that he can protect the store from robbers, and at that moment, fire bursts into flames on his palm. The guy sheepishly says that he knew it, and asks if he really has no chance. The main character looks at him and thinks that he resembles a big puppy. She asks to put out the fire first, because the employee is clearly scared. He complies, and the girl suddenly says she's hiring him. The guy is stunned, and the lady offers to sign the contract. The young man thanks her, and she replies that she is counting on him. She understands that he not only has an attractive appearance but also strong magic, and such an employee will be useful. The girl asks Neri to bring the contract, and she quickly agrees. Alice wonders if he could have served the aristocracy with such abilities, and she wonders what happened to him. She asks him to read the contract carefully and sign it. Then he asks if he has worked anywhere before, not necessarily in sales. The young man replies that he has never worked anywhere, and the girl remarks that he looks like a nobleman. But from his appearance, it is clear that he does not live well, and he confirms that he has no experience. His hands are clean, without traces of hard work. The lady hands over the contract and promises to gradually teach him his duties. He soon emerges, exclaiming gratitude. The girl reminds him that they'll see each other at the opening in 10 days. After closing the door, Neri asks Miss if she's sure about this man. The girl replies that she'll give him a chance first. Then she says that's enough for today and suggests going home. Sometime later, Neri brings a letter. They open it, and the maid asks who it's from. The girl replies that it's from Mr. Penson. Soon she's looking at the finished products. She grabs Mr. Penson by the hand and says enthusiastically that he is the best, and there are no other masters like him. The man modestly replies that this is not true, and that other masters are also wonderful in their own way. The lady asks how he managed to make everything so quickly, and he replies that it was the quality of the stones that helped. And the new atmosphere made work easier and more enjoyable. He bows and thanks her, and the girl asks him not to bow anymore, because she only did what she had to. Elisa is confident there will be high demand for such jewelry and promises to continue her support. The man thanks her again. He admits that he is truly happy now because the lady gave them hope. The girl is touched, and Mr. Penson says that before he had to fight for survival alone, now he is happily thinking about creating even more beautiful jewelry. The main character remembers how she was once called stupid. They said it was no surprise that her husband had his eye on others and that she was unworthy of the position of Duchess. She felt like an outsider in his house. She forgot she could make someone happy, and now she's rediscovering that feeling, and she realizes it's time to start. Sometime later, the girl is standing in front of her store, and Neri looks inside and asks if this is a dream. Alice smiles and invites them in, but at that moment, someone addresses the lady. It's Celine and Aji, the store employees, who greet her. The main character is glad to see them and invites them to come inside quickly. She says that since everyone is here, it's time to discuss work. The lady explains that you need to stand in your places and show the goods at the request of visitors. They take positions, and the protagonist praises Celine for her confidence. She then approaches Mr. Aji and invites him to try it, and he readily agrees. As Aji steps forward, the maid quietly remarks that he walks like a wooden doll. Everyone immediately laughs, and the main character gently asks Mr. Aji not to worry so much. After a while, they put the decorations in the display cases and finish cleaning. Aji is learning to tie a tie when the first customer enters the store, politely asking if she can look at the jewelry. Everyone greets her with a smile at the La Via Belle store. Soon more clients arrive, and they try on the jewelry with interest. One woman doubts whether this gold is real, because there are many fakes these days. They tell her that this necklace is made of pure gold, without any impurities, and the store can be trusted. To highlight her elegance, Celine recommends a classic design. The main character observes and understands that Celine's experience is felt in everything, in her manner of speech and calmness. She confidently talks about the product, and another lady remarks that most of her customers end up buying jewelry. Neri says that success awaits them, and the girl replies that conclusions can be drawn later, when the flow of visitors subsides. At the beginning, there are always a lot of curious people, because the discovery effect works. People come out of interest, and it will be great if this develops into stable sales. Celine agrees, adding that customers genuinely praise the jewelry, which is a good sign. The girl explains that she put the most beautiful items on display. They were created by the best craftsmen, which is why the customer reaction is so positive. Celine thanks the owner for her insight, but the girl replies that it is their jewelers who are unique. She tells Neri that they don't need sudden sales spikes, just stability, and then she will launch her own brand. The maid is surprised, and the lady promises that everything will soon become clear. Celine asks if Mr. Aji will come for the evening shift, and the main character replies that yes, because he trained hard. Later, the young man excitedly greets visitors. One man asks about the price of the watch, and Aji asks him to wait a little. The main character notices that he is too nervous and remembers how confidently he held the fire in his palms. She understands that not everything works out right away, and he has his strengths. As he smiles, one visitor whispers that it is impossible to take your eyes off him, and another says that she would like to paint his portrait. The girl realizes that some people come just to look at Aji. She is about to check the morning sales, but overhears an argument about the price. The woman demands a discount of 500,000 denites and asks how difficult it is. Aji is at a loss, but the main character comes up and apologizes to the client. She explains that employees do not have the right to give discounts without her permission, since she is the owner of the store. The woman replies that since she is the owner, she should give the discount herself. The girl understands that this is like a duel, but chooses politeness and calmness. She suggests first assessing how the necklace enhances the client's beauty, because this is more important than the price. Alice distracts her attention from the amount. She notes that with such an appearance, the decoration looks decent. The woman begins to agree, and the girl realizes that compliments work. The client acknowledges that there is truth in the words, and Alice mentally thanks her marketing lectures from her past life. However, the woman still thinks the price is high, and Alice asks how much she thinks it costs in other stores. She's not sure, but she assumes it's cheaper. The girl understands that this is not true, but arguing directly would be a mistake. She says she researched the market before setting prices and suggests checking out nearby stores. The client is already having second thoughts. Alice agrees that similar items may cost less, but he explains that the difference in detail is enormous and shows the quality of the chain and the shade of the metal. The sample is higher than that of similar products, and the craftsmen have increased the strength of the silver. In addition, the store provides a 2-year free repair guarantee. She draws attention to the unique engraving on the stone in the center, and he adds that with such decoration many will be envious. The girl gently remarks that the price may be high, but isn't her beauty worth it? The woman asks how one can guarantee the reaction of those around her. Then Alice promises that if the client feels uncomfortable about the jewelry, she will return not 500,000, but 1,000,000 denites. She confidently confirms her promise and says that she never lies to customers. The woman agrees to buy at the offered price, and the girl thanks her. She hands over the warranty card and invites you to come back with any questions. Then he sincerely thanks you for your purchase and invites you again. When the client leaves, the girl sighs with relief, realizing that the first crisis is over. She asks Aji if everything is okay and notices his admiring look. The girl wonders why he is looking at her like that. The young man admits that he is amazed at how easily she dealt with the picky client. She replies that it's all about confidence, and he notices that she really does believe in herself. The girl says that she believes in her masters first and foremost. Aji admires her trust, and she just smiles. He asks what to do if that woman comes again to demand a discount. Alice explains that she noticed her desire to look better in the eyes of her friends, and compliments became the key. Hearing pleasant words, she will be confident that she made the right choice. The girl adds that business is not just about selling, but about gaining trust and the ability to change the minds of even the most difficult clients. Aji asks what to do with such people in the future. She replies that if the store stays afloat, the quality itself will prove itself and persuasion will become unnecessary. Aji admits that he still has a lot to learn since his job is to communicate with customers. Alice looks at him and jokes that he reminds her of a big puppy, and then asks him to teach her magic. She wants to be able to create the same spark, and he happily agrees. At this time, Neri returns and says that she has completed the task. The main character praises her, and the maid adds that she bought cookies from a popular pastry shop on Python Street. Alice suggests having dinner together on Sunday and asks if he has any plans. She says that Miss Celine has agreed to come and asks about Mr. Aji. The young man agrees, and the lady promises to cook dinner. Then she suggests finishing the workday. Later, the main character returns home, and Neri notices a letter in the box. She reports that another message arrived today. The girl asks who it is from and learns that it is from Eugene Remiester. After a while, the lady gets out of the carriage and notices the Duke through the restaurant window. She feels like he stepped out of a painting, but she pulls herself together because he is a business partner. She reminds herself to separate work and personal life, then steps inside and greets him. The Duke is surprised to find her already here and invites Miss Harpin to sit down. The girl says hello, noticing that he arrived early, and he replies that he is meeting with an important person. He thanks her for her time, and she becomes slightly embarrassed. The Duke says he didn't know her tea preferences and suggests she choose for herself. He mentions that he heard about her store opening shortly after the delivery of the stones. The girl explains that the professionals work quickly, and she herself is very busy right now. The Duke compliments her and asks if he can visit the shop, and she replies that she is always happy to see him. Although he admits that much still needs to be improved, he says he believes in its success. Alice asks why he suggested the meeting. Eugene replies that he wants to propose to her again. The main character becomes wary, and he adds that this is in addition to the supply of stones. He tells that a new ore vein has been discovered in the mountains of their clan. However, development requires large investments, since there is already an operating mine. The girl understands that their family has a huge turnover, and he says that he has found investors. Construction of a new mine is about to begin, and he'd like to supply her with materials from there. She asks what kind. The man replies that it is bronze, amethyst, and Afghan lapis lazuli. Alice is amazed. She doesn't believe it's really possible to mine Afghan lapis lazuli. This stone is rare and incredibly valuable, and even among the upper class, not everyone has it. The man confidently says that if the lady needs such stones, he is ready to organize regular supplies for her. Alice sincerely thanks him and understands that she was looking for rare materials, and he offers exactly what she needs. Eugene hesitates a little and adds that he has one more request. At that moment, the ordered dessert arrives. The girl reminds that he spoke about some additional matter for her. He carefully asks if she understands that what he is asking may not be easy, and she asks him to be frank. Eugene announces that a ball, in honor of the princess's birthday, will soon be held at the royal castle. Alice is surprised, and he asks if she would agree to go with him as his partner. The girl is momentarily confused, thinking she misheard, but from his serious look she understands that he is serious. Eugene explains that he was invited, but he doesn't have a companion. He adds that if she is busy, he will understand, although he would be glad to spend at least one evening with her. The main character replies that it is not a matter of time, but after her divorce from Duke Feiheran, her reputation is far from ideal. She understands that people in high society are whispering about her, and if she goes with him, the rumors could affect him too. But she can't hide forever, even if people whisper behind her back. Eugene calmly says that he doesn't care what others think, and he's not going to discuss her divorce. He just wants to see her by his side at the ball, and Alice notes that he has never been prejudiced against her. He doesn't see her as a divorced duchess. To him, she's Alice Harpen, and always has been. Eugene adds that high society approval is crucial for the jewelry business. Spreading the word about her jewelry could make a big difference, and this is a great opportunity. The lady agrees. People will ask where she gets such products from, and this will attract the attention of buyers and influential women. In front of them, she should not be their ex-wife, but Alice Harpen, the owner of a successful store. The girl agrees to go with the Duke and understands that this is an opportunity to change her image. Eugene thanks her, and she smiles and says that she appreciates his respectful attitude. He promises to pick her up next week. Later, the servant asks in surprise if he's really going to the ball with that lady. Eugene confirms, and the servant reminds him that the master had no intention of going at all. The butler understands that it was the Duke who first suggested that she accompany him. He asks her directly if he likes the lady, and the man tries to brush it off, saying that he just wants to get to know her better. The butler deftly evades this and remarks that this sounds too serious for ordinary business interest. The Duke calls it simple curiosity, but the servant hints that it is suspiciously strong. Eugene asks him to shut up and is left alone with his thoughts. He understands that the proposal was truly sudden since they had only met twice. But he remembers the sparkle in her eyes and the softness of her smile. He himself didn't notice how these words escaped, and the butler joked about the upcoming wedding. The Duke tells him to go to work and gets up from the table. When asked where he is going, he replies that he is just going for a walk. The butler remains confident that the master clearly likes her. Meanwhile, Neri is preparing dinner and tells Miss that it is a real success. The main character praises her, and soon guests arrive. Neri greets them and Alice thanks them for their visit. Celine is amazed by the treats and admits that she has never tried anything like this, even on her birthday. The girl says they don't deserve such trouble, but the owner assures them that they do. Neri says with delight that she has never eaten such meat. Aji notices the expensive wine and admits that he hasn't drunk it for a long time. Neri is surprised, as this is her first time trying this, and Aji modestly replies that she has already done it once. Alice reminds that the food is getting cold and invites everyone to the table. She says this is their first dinner together for the store's prosperity and proposes a toast. Everyone supports and clinks glasses. Later, the girl tells her story. Aji remarks that it hasn't been easy for her, and Celine admires her strength. Alice replies that she doesn't see any reason to be proud of this, she just doesn't want to hide anything. Now Neri is here, and she is really happy. Neri says she's glad to be there, and Celine looks at their friendship with warmth. Aji watches silently as Celine shares her story about her sick father. She worked wherever she could to support him. So she ended up in the lady's shop, and the main character thanks her for her frankness. She asks Aji about his past, but he asks her to tell him another time. Alice calmly replies that he has the right not to talk if he doesn't want to. He thanks her, and she admits that she was hasty with her question. The girl remembers Duke Rumiester's delicacy and understands that she must be more careful. Neri decides to change the subject and shares some good news. Alice talks about new rare stone deliveries and an invitation to the ball. Aji congratulates her, and Celine is happy that the lady will go to the royal palace. The girl explains that this is a chance to advertise the store. She won't be able to work that day, and they'll have to cope together. They promise to do their best. The main character thanks them, and soon the day of the ball arrives. She arrives at the salon where she is greeted by the workers. Alice asks to be called Alice de Harpen. Sitting down in a chair, she asks what kind of hairstyle would be best. It is important for her to look fashionable, because for business, she needs to match the style. The worker suggests large waves that emphasize elegance. Alice agrees and asks for another nourishing mask, ready to pay any amount. She understands that not only style is important, but also grooming. They give her a fashion magazine. She studies whether her jewelry will suit current looks. The worker begins laying the clothes and soon announces that everything is ready. The main character looks in the mirror and is assured that she is gorgeous. Alice notes that today she follows all fashion trends. She praises the hairdresser's skill, and she becomes embarrassed. The girl assures that she considers her the best in her field. She understands that rich ladies rarely praise, but a sincere compliment can win a person over. The hairdresser notices her necklace and asks where she bought it. Alice smiles and replies that she is at La Via Belle. The woman is surprised, and the girl admits that this is her own store. The hairdresser is amazed that the lady has her own business. Alice invites her to come by if she is interested. She promises to come because the decoration is really impressive. The girl is happy because she chose it for a long time. She hands over a business card with the address and opening hours. Alice understands that business cards are rare in this world, and this is an excellent advertising ploy. The woman looks at a drawing of a swan, and the girl explains that it is the symbol of their brand. She adds that the logo reflects the essence of the store. The hairdresser thanks me for the new knowledge and promises to visit the store. Alice offers her a personal discount as a token of gratitude. She worries that this will harm the business, but the girl assures that it is just gratitude and asks not to tell others. The hairdresser agrees and thanks. The main character understands that working with VIP clients requires a special approach. Many socialite ladies come to the salon, and conversations about fashion are constant. If the hairdresser mentions the shop in such conversations, it will be excellent word-of-mouth advertising. The woman promises to talk about La Via Belle, and Alice thanks her, maintaining restraint. She understands the importance of not appearing pushy. When paying for the hairdo, she leaves a generous tip, despite protests. Alice realizes that generosity helps win the favor of service staff and strengthen relationships. When she leaves, the girl thanks the craftswoman, and the main character thinks that investing in one's image is not something to be sniffed at. After some time, a carriage drives up to her house and the Duke gets out of it. Seeing Miss Harpin, he says with a smile that she is ready. The girl thanks him for his visit, and he notes that she looks amazing today. Alice admits that his words calm her down because she was very worried. The man confidently adds that today she is the most beautiful among all the guests. The girl asks how he can be so sure, and he invites her to see for herself. He offers his hand and the lady accepts. Soon the carriage stops at the palace. As she is about to leave, the Duke asks her to hold his hand. The girl realizes that she is going to a ball for the first time, holding the hand of a man who is not her husband. Before, she was happy just to be able to hold the hand of her beloved, without noticing what he really was like. Once, when she got out of the carriage, she heard only irritated questions about why it was taking so long. And now she is told to take it slow, and she feels that everything has changed. She realizes that this kind of attentive attitude will take some getting used to. The Duke offers to go inside, and the lady agrees. Whispers are heard in the hall that this is the ex-wife of Duke Feyheron. The Duke quietly asks if everything is okay, and she replies that she was prepared for this. It turned out that everything was not so scary, although all eyes were focused on her. Some are surprised that Duke Rumester is accompanying her. Eugene asks her to speak if she feels uncomfortable. The girl gathers her thoughts because her goal is to show off her jewelry. The necklace, earrings, and brooch should be noticeable. She says that everything is fine because the dance is beginning. The Duke takes her hands and admits that he has been preparing for this day. She wonders if he was rehearsing. He replies that he arrived with such a lady and had to prepare. He asks her to dance. Meanwhile, Christie's ex-husband invites her to the dance floor. Christie agrees, but notices that there is talk around about another couple. She decides to take a closer look. Coming up, she sees Alice with Duke Rumester and is amazed. She finds it hard to believe that this woman now looks so confident. Her future husband asks who she's looking at, and Christie tries to distract him. But he notices his ex-wife dancing with another man, and Christie suggests they leave. The man steps back and continues to look. He wonders when she became so beautiful and what she is doing next to Rumester. Christie asks who he's looking at, and he excuses himself by saying he's just surprised. Christie quips that she dared to charm an unmarried duke. The man agrees, but remembers about divorce and division of property. Christie suggests they ignore him and continue dancing, and he agrees. He convinces himself that there are many other women around. Meanwhile, someone watches from the balcony. When the dance ends, the Duke asks her if she enjoyed it. Alice replies that she didn't expect such skill from him. He is glad to hear this and offers to dance some more, but she says that she is a little thirsty. He suggests coming to the counter, and at that moment an acquaintance approaches Eugene. The man greets Alice, she introduces herself, and Milburn says he is pleased to meet her. He asks to borrow Eugene for a while. Alice replies that she can handle it herself and lets the Duke go. She thinks it's even for the best, because during the dance, many people were looking at her jewelry. Soon a woman approaches her and offers her a cocktail to brighten up her loneliness. The main character recognizes the wife of the Marquis Barquilla. She says that they haven't seen each other for a long time, and Alice notes her excellent memory. The girl thanks her for the drink, and the woman responds with a smile. She offers to sit down and talk. Alice understands that if she had come alone, she could have been ignored, but now everyone is interested in her accompaniment. She agrees and decides to direct the conversation towards the La Vie Belle store. Approaching the group, she introduces herself as Alice Harpin. The ladies say that they haven't seen her for a long time and were waiting for a meeting. They invite her to sit down, and she thanks them for the seat. The girl adjusts her hair to make the jewelry more visible and receives a compliment. She replies that the ladies themselves look great. The Marquis's wife notices how much her appearance has changed. The necklace especially impresses everyone. Alice realizes that their eyes are truly drawn to her jewelry. Other ladies compliment the ring and ask where she got it all. The girl replies that she is at La Vie Belle and modestly accepts the compliments. One of the ladies asks for the address, as she would like to visit the store. Alice understands that Master Penson put his soul into these products. The stones shine especially brightly in the light of the court lamps. Ladies remember how the jewelry sparkled during the dance. Then one of them cautiously asks about her relationship with the Duke. The main character understands that this question was inevitable. At this time, the blonde man watches them from the balcony. His sister asks who he is looking at, and he replies that he saw a familiar face. She reminds that this is the ex-wife of Duke Feharin, dancing with Rumister. He is surprised and remembers that his sister mentioned her before. The man admits that he simply didn't expect to see her here. Others note that she was recently divorced and appeared at a ball with an influential duke. The blonde is surprised because Rumister has never been interested in women. One aristocrat jokes that they are lovers, and the guy clutches his glass. He asks sharply if every dance makes people lovers. The interlocutor becomes embarrassed and says that he only assumed. The man recalls that he once danced with Selina and asks if this means something more. The interlocutor backs down. There is an awkward silence, and his sister notices his irritation. He apologizes for being abrupt, and his sister suggests going downstairs to dance. He agrees and asks to forget this joke. Meanwhile, the main character tells the lady that her relationship with the Duke is special. The ladies are surprised by this answer. Alice pauses and explains that they are devoted to each other in business. They are business partners, and she recently started her own business. The jewelry she is wearing is from her shop, and one of the ladies is surprised that she is the owner. The girl modestly says that it is a small shop on Rill Street called La Vie Belle. One lady recalls seeing him near Mary Arden's cafe. Alice understands that the first stage of attracting attention was successful, but she needs to increase interest. One of the ladies asks if this means that she came only as a business partner. Alice answers evasively and adds that the Duke has a wonderful character. They get along well, and she values him as a reliable ally. She adds that the Duke liked the designs of her jewelry. The girl deliberately creates the impression that it was the products that brought them together. She says the Duke even offered long-term cooperation. In her thoughts, Alice thanks him for the unwitting advertisement. In her past life, she often used a similar method, introducing a product through an authority figure. The girl invites the lady to definitely stop by her store, promising to personally select jewelry or stones to suit their taste. They eagerly agree, and Elisa thanks them for their attention, admitting she's even embarrassed by their interest. One of the ladies notes that running your own business is respectable, and they'll definitely stop by. Alice smiles and understands that the main goal of the ball has been achieved. Interest in her and the store has already been awakened. If aristocrats start wearing her jewelry, it will become a living advertisement, and men who want to please their ladies will turn into a new wave of customers. Over time, they will even want to buy something for themselves, like a watch or a tie clip. That's exactly her plan. After that, she says she has to go, and one of the ladies is surprised to see her already leaving. The protagonist explains that she wants to freshen up a bit, as the champagne is making her a little dizzy. She understands that talking too much could backfire. Stepping out onto the terrace, she mentally praises herself but suddenly hears someone calling her name. A blonde guy appears in front of her, greets her, and she tries to remember who he is.